Hello and welcome to the Captain's Table. I'm Mara,
Howdy, I'm Spencer.
And hello on Chips.
and it's been a minute.
Just a few. Just
Yeah,
just just a few.
I think it's like more than 7 months at this point. I've been kind of busy with some life changing stuff.
One of us is almost a completely different person.
Maybe a little bit.
Spencer was only like half a man anyway, so he's still
wow.
the same. I don't mean that in a bad way. I just meant from the. Actually, there's no way I can say this that doesn't come across as awful.
Terrible.
I mean, that's just on brand.
True.
Oh, we have so much to talk about. I don't think we should get bogged down in trying to catch up everything, but there is some stuff we just gotta cover. So to start out, there was some recent controversy, because when is there never controversy in the Stowe community, about a ship release called The Odd Thought.
Oh, I thought you were gonna talk about the fortress because nobody. Yeah. That's a fun ship. The Odd Thought comes with the best trait ever. The only trait that anybody would ever really want to use if they're going to do fire at will. All the other ones are bad.
We can make this really controversial, and I can say, it's a great budget ship.
I mean, yeah, if your budget is several billion EC.
Yeah. It's controversial because, as you guys know, it's got the Fire at Will extender trait on it, and it's a promotional ship, and there's no way to get those account wide until they're in a Muds bundle several years from now. So, the trait that everyone's been asking for Fire at Will, put on the most expensive type of ship to obtain in the game. It's been a very interesting situation, to put it lightly.
Yeah, I was initially. Well, I mean, and I was kind of pissed initially because when I first saw that it was coming. I was like, it'd be funny if they put a fall extender on a promo ship, and I was like, they're not actually going to do that. And then when you see it, I'm like, oh, they actually did that. Oh well, that's not going to go over well because I mean, just a pure extension, the thing that everybody had been asking for, showing up on a promo ship that's a per character unlock. That set the stage for all the conspiracy theories. They did this specifically to make money, etc., rather than it was just a thing they did. And I don't think they realized what they were doing.
It was absolutely just a thing they did. Like, from the design, from designers that worked on it, it was literally just say, well, we have this idea floating that, like, we want a fall extender, and this ship has a ton of beam firepower, so let's just put it on there. It makes thematic sense. That's how they think about things.
And timing wise, it also, like, just as Deca was opening the floodgates and starting to heavily communicate, that was right around the time when there was a ton of people asking for a better Fire at Will extender. So we just had really bad timing about getting that request into them when they started listening.
The one of the issues with that though is where I was thinking this was like, okay, there's two things. Either they did it on purpose and they knew people were going to spend, they were going to take out a second mortgage so that they could have fall on a few characters, or they did it on accident, which means they didn't really know that the people wanted that, even though they've been asking for it for years, which also would imply that they were kind of tone deaf and out of touch with the community. Either one of those was bad. I've softened quite a bit since then on, well, I don't think the first one of those is correct at all, and I've softened on the second one.
I think for a long time there's been a major communication issue, or there had been a major communication issue between the player base and the developers, and with Deca taking the helm, it seems that is being heavily corrected.
Yeah, and there's definitely a dissonance in the way we think things should be designed and the way they design them. Like, we think in terms of, like, the mechanical structure of building and output and efficiency, and they look at chips and say, well, what's the vibe of this thing?
I was just about to say I got my first taste of that when they were talking about the Trafalgar, which we'll get into later, when they said we decided command because it looked commanding.
Yeah,
It really is identity based with a lot of the ways they think. They've talked about it before, where they talk about a ship's identity, and that's how it gets specced out.
Yeah, I mean, I got it for one of my characters. I was able to. I had an Infinity box that I was able to trade for it to uh, one nice individual. So I managed to grab it, and I will say, after having used Breen Free Fire, the BFF, using ETM feels awful. How that doesn't mean that ETM is bad. It just doesn't feel as good after having used it.
Yeah. The current duo meta really leans towards just dropping all torpedoes, and with Breen Free Fire, you're able to do that, and you're also able to run Fire at Will 3. So going back to ETM, which is a forced torpedo on the build and not necessarily one of the better torpedoes, along with half of your Fire at Will uptime being Fire at Will 1, it just feels a bit worse.
Yeah,
Piloting is different. It's much easier to get into position with BFF than it is with ETM because you're not having to nose in, or you don't have to use a wide arc that has too long of a firing time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's important to, like, ETM has a bunch of these, like, playstyle caveats, but it isn't the end of the world either. Like, I think the biggest problem with ETM is in this environment right now with server performance, where we're dropping abilities left and right, where you can just miss a full cycle because torpedo spread misfired. That's, I think, the biggest problem it has. But, like, with a complex plasma fire's fire at will build with ETM, the ultimate torpedo procs CPF, and so you're still getting value out of it. Dark Matter Quantum with KLW can actually do some gnarly work. Like, you are making compromises, but they don't hurt as bad as some complaints would lead you to believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I personally just can't stand the micromanagement. I don't like to have to try and manually time everything right. And if I put it on the space bar, specifically if I have a torpedo that's like 4 seconds, like the ultimate, then I'll hit Fire at Will, and then like the torp spread is like immediately up because it just fired. And it's like, oh, there goes like 20% of the rest of my uptime. Which, I mean, it's fine. You have to make concessions. My thing was, they could have alleviated all of this by just dropping FAW back down to 15 seconds. I mean, that solves like every other problem.
Yeah, I think that's what we all really wanted to see, was unifying FAW with the rest, and they could have released a couple of different ways to extend after that, but FAW doesn't need to be a 20-second cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, dropping it to 15, you don't really care about the uptime now for ETM. You can put it on a spam bar, and it would just about be full coverage still. It fixes the issues with redirecting arrays, most of them. Even if you're not getting shot, you'll still get something out of it. It fixes Starfleet hopefuls almost completely, I think. And I've never used the Jorgumo one.
It wouldn't do much for Jorgumo or Starfleet hopefuls from what I remember. I mean, it would shave off some of the downtime, sure, but it wouldn't be that big of a deal.
Yeah, it would just bring it into alignment. There's really no balance reason from my perspective that it should be longer base cooldown than the other firing modes. It's not significantly stronger in any way. I mean, certainly it's one of the better firing modes. We have a lot of trash firing modes, but like, it wouldn't suddenly break it.
What was the reasoning for upping that in the first place? Wasn't it because everybody's using it, and back then it was really good?
Yeah, I think that was part of it. But I do want to add here that about a week ago, so we're recording this on September 28th, and about a week before the recent update, I reached out to Sooooo to ask if there was any update about a Fire at Will extender or getting Fire at Will lowered to 15 seconds to make the existing portfolio of Fire at Will traits a bit better. And I wasn't given an immediate no, or there's no update, so maybe there will be an update, on this topic in the near future once the systems team, has decided how they want to respond to that inquiry.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think that's actually a good leap-off point. Communicative Deca.
Yeah, it's nice. I was just going to circle back real quick and to say that regardless of the trait on the ship itself, the yacht is actually a really, really, really good ship.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
solid platform.
But yeah, it's nice having Borticus and several of the others, Pundus, Suna, uh, actually engage with the community now rather than being as, I guess, not really aloof or standoffish. They were hard to get a hold of, and it was hard to actually figure out what they were thinking before. When now they're a lot more active, saying, "Yeah, this is what I think about X."
Yeah,
That's nice.
Yeah.
and they're directly soliciting um, response and feedback over specific things, like for example the Trafalgar console, which is something that they seem to put a lot of effort into.
Yep. I just wish they would have asked people before they made it.
Yeah, that was definitely so. They stated that they wanted the Trafalgar console to be a meta tool. They were looking at trying to slide it into the meta and be something that people used to honor the lineage of the Atlas family, which had the DPRM, which we all very much love. The problem is that they don't quite know how to do that yet. There's the bones in this console of something that could have been meta. And they have said that they want to tweak it and have solicited a lot of feedback on that topic. But as it stands out of the box, it's kind of a total dud.
I could see where they were going. Like, they were going in the direction that they needed to go in. It's like, how can we, make sure that this thing gets put on? The only unfortunate thing is they went in a direction that was already well taken care of and well understood.
Yeah, the console, the idea with the console, with the active, was that you'd be able to rotate it and get all your cooldowns completely nullified with it in one pulse. The problem is that it's not consistent, and we kind of demand consistency out of our cooldown solutions. And because it is a single instant slap, when you activate it, it hits your cooldowns, and that's it. That means anything out of cycle, anything that isn't perfectly timed to that moment, is gonna get knocked.
Yeah, and as far as I know, I don't actually have the ship. It's just bridge officer abilities, right?
Yeah.
It is just bridge officer abilities. You are sacrificing your current shields, which honestly isn't that big a deal. They're gonna come right back up anyways if you're using Valdor or have even a little bit of shield regen going on. So that happens, and then it's a 2-minute recharge. And I did the math on this, and even if this was a base cooldown of 30 seconds, it wouldn't be consistent enough between Uncon and Voven to handle the 15-second rotations we use on almost all of our do builds. I mean, on all of our do builds. 15 seconds is a really important, really common marker for cooldown cycles, and this can't do it.
See, when I heard about the actual console, I thought it was going to also incorporate bridge officer abilities and maybe like something else, not universal consoles, but say like the ultimate console, like those ones that can't be cooled down by universals. I thought it was going to incorporate that, but it just didn't.
Yeah, it's just bridge officer cooldown, which we have so thoroughly covered. We just don't need the help. I mean, Spencer and I are both at a point where we're not terribly far off from completely dropping Boimler if we don't do that already, like between all of the sources of passive cooldown we have.
So I've actually tried running this console in solo runs just to see how effective it would be, and like you said, you just can't get it up enough. And even like you still have to run every other piece of cooldown reduction you'd need. Like I said, it just does not do it.
Yeah. I actually had the opportunity to explain this at great length to Borticus, and suggested some solutions, including making the cooldown a over time effect, which would mean that anything that happens during that period gets cooled down at least some, and turning the passives to always on. Right now, the passives are turning off your long-range targeting damage penalty and nullifying weapon power cost, but only for 2 seconds out of 8.
Yeah, if those were always on, I would pick one of those things up immediately.
Yeah, if this was always on, this would become a meta console. So between making it a like a 20 to 30 second cooldown over time effect that it was akin to the amount of cooldown you get out of tactical initiative, which I believe is 45%.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, good brain. So with a substantial cooldown over time effect that you could, with a high uncon Voven crate style build, keep rolling just constantly, and that passive of no range penalty and no power costs, that would be an auto slot for like a lot of builds.
Yeah. And imagine a console that was basically a Niktomi trait.
That'd be beautiful.
Yeah, no, it would be really great.
And I think to some people, hearing the thought of a console providing 100% uptime, or 100% coverage on no weapon power drain and no range penalty, like to some people that sounds a bit crazy, but we already have consoles that on these really high performance builds are already damn near doing that. Like the Credence's Dilithium transporter console, when that's up, that's 20 seconds of our weapons draining no power.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And if you have a lot of haste and you have the Borg, the assimilated two-piece on, if that thing is up quite a bit, then there's just more free power.
So the point of giving this console the ability to have that up 100% of the time is it's basically bringing something that the high-end players already can do down to an easily accessible point that anyone that gets that console can then achieve at any performance level.
Yeah, and it wouldn't require the timings of Credence, which is kind of a bitch.
That's a very skill-heavy console, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, like I love the fact that they're reaching out for feedback over something that they have made a point of saying that we are trying to sell this to builders, and like had great conversations. And the only thing that it seems like has stopped this from happening sooner is the fact that they were all hands on deck for this recent content drop.
Yeah. That alone intrigued me when they said during the live stream that they had designed this for that, because I remember them specifically going out of their way to say that we do not design ships to be meta. We try to keep everything around like the B tier. Sometimes something will slip through and might be A or S, but that was the first time I've ever actually heard them say we want to engage with the meta, and so that was kind of cool.
Indeed.
Speaking of engaging with the meta, I believe someone wants to talk about the Echelon.
Somebody wants to sell the echelons.
So, yeah, as you guys know, the Echelon Intel Science Spearhead was added to the game earlier this year. It's an Infinity Lockbox ship, but after a patch a couple months ago, it was accidentally added to the Infinity console pack for a brief duration, so there was a massive influx of supply that quickly was shut down within an hour, but that resulted in a ton of Echelons being generated into the game. Now, the console off the Echelon, it's actually pretty interesting because it's up to 15% crit chance.
And doesn't it also have some Sev?
I don't think it has severity.
Maybe not. I use it now all the time, but...
Yeah, so 2 self, your directed energy weapons apply stacks of tracer payloads, a trail to target. You can have up to 15 stacks out, and they last for 25 seconds. And to team within 10 kilometers, plus 1% crit chance per stack while actively targeting a foe affected by tracer payloads. So, up to 15 stacks, 15% crit chance. The passive on the console isn't great because it's when leaving combat, but yeah, that clicky on that, 15% crit chance, especially with how cheap that ship is right now. For 400 to 500 mil for 15% crit chance for a lot of people, that's a very, very interesting option.
For 25 seconds, yeah, which is very, very compatible with the crate cycle timing. Like, it fits right in.
450 for the console that doesn't require a kill versus 1.5 billion for a ship, for a trait that does require a kill in Tearing Goodbye.
I legitimately think the console's nice. I've been using it as an alternative to Tearing Goodbye for some setups that I've been experimenting with. But on the sales pitch side, I do also want to mention that the Echelon does come with a skin that can be bashed onto the Gagarin line. It's very, very immersive.
Such a Ferengi.
Quite. And it's also just a reasonably good ship.
Yeah. It's a decent little ship.
I never got a chance to get quite as many as the Captain Silo here, but I got a few. I got a couple for the supports, and then I got 2 extras, so I've been playing around with it, and yeah, it's actually a lot of fun. And for 400, 450 mil, if you've got it, it's
Um,
worth it.
yeah, I have a pricing update. I talked about this on my stream yesterday, and the price is now 700 mil.
Of course it is.
Yeah, no,
Market
for sure.
manipulator.
So it may not be that price when you're hearing this, but
Yeah,
it's still a good option.
there's just so many of them out there that it'll have periods of coming up and down and up and down.
Yeah.
And like I really like it as something that if you're trying to go active console heavy, but like don't have everything that you'd want for that yet, this is something that fits into the build concept, because we're at a point where we're at like 13 consoles or so. We have more than 13 consoles that could go into like an optimized build at this point, and this adds another cheaper option to that list.
It's also a really good console if you want to be lazy. Like I put together I just flew the Mirror Warship with all isomags and then nothing but long running buff duration type consoles like DPRM, AES, Domino. I just put those together and was just flying around doing that. It was really chill, and it still absolutely slams.
Mm-hmm.
Now, by the time this goes out, I may have dropped a video like reviewing the Echelon, but that console, like, I think legitimately every support and tank player out there should have that console on. The console doesn't stack between multiple players using it, so you only really need one in a run. But
That overlaps can happen.
yeah, overlap is good. But just having a console out there that is fairly accessible and can give you and your teammates 15% crit chance, yeah, that's great.
Is this video going to be the thumbnail that you've been showing us for like 6 months?
Yeah, funny thing is, I legitimately made that thumbnail in June, so way before they accidentally put it into the Infinity console packs.
Before Michi lost billions.
Yeah, poor Michi. He had 3 of them that he was sitting on when they dropped into the console pack, and he got burned a little bit.
That sucks.
I heard a lot of German curse words. It was amazing.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that.
No, I was going to say, what are we going to talk about next? Move this show along. Nobody cares about Spencer's money-making operation. He probably managed a way to inject the code into... yeah, I'll show him. I've got... How many of those boxes did you have? Probably 100?
No.
Yeah, you say no.
Definitely more than that out there, though.
Oh, yeah. Some of the big market manipulators, besides Spencer, have hundreds of those things.
Yeah, I had like 3. It just to get, some people seem to have this idea that I am wealthy. Super not. Very, very not. I am not.
I'm more poor than both of you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no, I scratch together what I need. I have a network of people that help keep me supplied, but like oh no, my account typically reads dozens of millions of EC at any given point.
Yeah. Not all you got to do is go into Spencer's stream and watch him open his inventory on one character at random.
Mhm.
Oh, no. I did that yesterday when looking for duty officers.
I know. I saw. We all saw.
Yeah, no, there's definitely different classes of economy going on in this room right now. But something that I think one of you brought up and wanted to talk about is on that injecting code side of things. Deca spent a lot of time trying to mess with at least told us that they spent some time trying to mess with server performance, and server performance has been quite a gripe for our group of players for the last, forever, but specifically this last year has been kind of horrendous.
Yeah, it single-handedly killed the one thing that I was really enjoying doing in this game, which was getting together with a group of people and doing runs that way. After right around February, it was so bad that, after we managed to get a record for one guy, for Michi, and then the act of trying to do that was so painful that we just kind of stopped for a while, and we just haven't been back since because it's been so bad. We've been trying to do solo stuff, and that works sometimes, or it worked sometimes. Sometimes it was okay, sometimes it wasn't. The hours could be all over the place. Sometimes I'd be fine at 2 in the afternoon. Other times it'd be an absolute cluster. It was really really bad, and that came to a head when they released the Yod Thought.
Yeah, that was a bad week.
Yeah.
I was so annoyed that entire week. Like every time I would log in, I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
I've had, some very frustrating periods as well. I will say that since some of the recent changes that they made, at least in the solo runs I do, that there's been a fairly noticeable improvement. Now, I don't do as much team-based stuff right now. We haven't done like a coordinated ISC since February, like Chiop said. But for solos, I mean, there's still periods where you get the sense of there's probably a few too many people in the game right now. It's not a great time to be doing these, but generally I've had a lot more success in the past couple of weeks than I did months ago.
Well, I was just going to say that week encouraged me to actually make a video, which I never do.
I'm just really happy that with the uptick in communication, that they are listening to the issues that we're raising and they're addressing them. And I think being able to constructively present what the issues are is a huge factor. Like, if anyone here has like an issue with the game, you can drop it over in their Discord. But the biggest thing I'd say is, go in there, post, a thorough post, be constructive. If it's an issue, they're listening. You just have to not be a dick about how you write it.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody does that.
No, nobody.
No, nobody that we know for sure. Yeah, they've gone out of their way to like say, hey, we are doing these things. Like, ISC's been shored up. I've absolutely noticed, as Spencer said, things have gotten notably better. Like, we all have sort of retreated into solo hermitage because it's so much easier to reset and not deal with like everyone having to reset. You could just do it on your own tempo, which is, kind of sad. But things are definitely better.
On that note, after the week, which annoyed me more, that week annoyed me more that it was radio silence as opposed to the fact that it was unplayable, because it was like, okay, well, I guess I have something else to do. But the fact that nobody was talking about it was really starting to get on my nerves. And then Sooooo, like a week out, dropped that they were doing some stuff on the back end to hopefully alleviate that. And then when the servers came back on and I immediately jumped in, I was like, oh, this is way better. I didn't have any issues. The net graph was mostly normal. But what was I going to say? You just started this long-ass winded thing. It was tying into something that you just said, and I was going back to my original point, and now I'm at this point, and I don't know what the hell I was going to say. Don't get old. This sucks. Jesus Christ.
I've missed you.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. I love you too. Here's what I was talking about the reset, because everybody's been doing the solo stuff, and I was like, well, let me try that. I don't have the time now to wait 5 minutes after every run.
Yes.
That's what's been killing it for me.
I made a post over on the Discord. I tagged Sooooo in the thread, and she said it was going to be passed along. It is just so frustrating that your abilities don't reset upon entering or leaving a TFO map, or like a patrol, or just any map. Like, other games, when I load into the next mission or whatever, my abilities are all at 0, they're ready to use. In this game, you could have a 5-minute cooldown, you could sit, be sitting in space, log out of that character for a day, come back, and that cooldown's still going to be there. Just extremely frustrating.
Oh, it sucks terribly. Like, from grinding out like challenge runs to like the kind of testing I do when I'm dealing with new content. Like, I want to establish a performance profile, and I am rate limited at that, at really, really like aggressively. I want to reset, I want to go in, and I have to wait over and over again to get a consistent performance profile because the same stuff has to be going off every time.
Yeah, basically 60 to 70% of my combat playtime right now, I would say, is just sitting in space waiting for cooldowns.
I was just going to say, when people look at like the DPS League leaderboards and whatnot, or hear you talk about it or see you do it, they don't realize that that's like an all-day affair to get that one run. And the reason it's all day isn't because you're in there trying to do the thing over and over. It's because you're just waiting for things to come off cooldown.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not fun. Like, I don't like it when a game doesn't want me to play it. And that's what it feels like.
Yeah. Which is weird because part of that is in this game. Like, if you've ever done the red alerts, if you would go into a red alert, hit all your activatables, I don't know if that's a word, but whatever. If you hit all your consoles, and then you come out, and then you go back in, all your consoles are ready to go again.
I don't think I ever noticed that, but that's upsetting.
I can't remember. I think it was the last one. I was trying to do this on an alt. I was just trying to get a couple of marks so I could buy something on a fresh alt, and I just spammed it back and forth. And every time I would come out and go back in, everything would be ready again. The only thing that wouldn't be ready would be like the QSM, some of the captain abilities, but all your consoles are reset. It was weird. I was like, I didn't know this was a thing.
Huh. Odd.
So if they can take that and wove in everything else, when I go into another instance, I would be very happy.
Yeah.
Indeed. Be a huge quality of life improvement.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't have a good segue for this. So this is just sort of a PSA before we get into our final topic.
Wait.
Go ahead.
I got it. You know, because we were talking about DPS and leaderboards, and as we're talking about the league and the leaderboards, we feel we would be remiss if we didn't mention a PSA regarding Hellbore.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So because the Hellbore light changes are still ongoing, and the last change didn't fix the overprocking of the ignition portion of Hellbore light, the league decided to, for now, ban any parse containing Hellbore light. I know that kind of sucks because a lot of people pug with it, and if you rely on pugging to get your numbers on the board, it makes it really obnoxious. But it needed to be done because too many Hellbore light parses with absolutely broken performance were showing up on the board, and they have said that they're still going to be applying fixes to it. It was just delayed by the content drop, so this shouldn't be forever.
Yeah, and I appreciate the direct communication we were able to have with Bordicus on this issue too, because like with Hellbore, it's not only the DPS issue there, but it's also server performance implications. In some of the parses that we were analyzing for Hellbore, there would be instances where Hellbore is dumping over 1,000 lines of combat in a fraction of a second, and yeah, I think it was 1,400 in 1 second in a hive run we looked at. And then the queen was instantly killed when Hellbore went off on her. And it was 40-something lines in 1/10 of a second. Just all went off at the exact same time and just took her from 80 to 0 on elite difficulty.
Yeah, it's under the hood still quite broken, and we just couldn't remain without action. We held off for so long.
Yeah, don't go out of your way to buy the Warden. Buy that shit because you like it and you like the way it looks. Don't buy it for the trait.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll make a point to reanalyze it once it gets fixed. Like once the next fix comes, we'll take a look at it. We'll put out an announcement. Hey, we've unbanned it. Hey, it's still fucked. Like we'll get there.
We don't want to see Hellbore nuked completely into being irrelevant. We just want it to not be as broken as it is, where it's killing elite level bosses instantly, just causing issues in that environment.
I mean, if it's still pumping out, at the end of the day when they finish this stuff, anywhere between like say 50 and 150k or whatever, then it's still going to be a really nice trait, and I'll probably have it slotted on my alts.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Like I don't want to see this nerfed into the ground. I want to see this in a place where it belongs. Like I want to see it. Like if this ended, if it came out of the fixes and it was still an S tier trait, like CPF level performance, I'm like, great, let's keep it.
Yep.
Like that's what I want to see out of this. I don't want to see it suddenly just deleted and destroyed because it's easily accessible and I want to gatekeep DPS. Like no, like we want this to be performing in line with other high performers.
the more alternatives to existing traits, the better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say too, like if we find after the fixes that its performance has been, has been hit that hard, then I would call for it to be buffed back up a little bit.
Absolutely. That would 100% be my position. Like, if the traits dropped below like 100,000 DPS across all of its sources on our tier of run, then I'll probably make some noise. All right, and for our final topic, recently in the Deca server, the topic of leechers has come up, and I know a lot of us have some strong feelings about that. I do, for sure.
Yeah, I've seen that a couple times. I've even had more like 2 or 3 DMs asking me about that. And personally, with regards to random elite TFOs, I know Spencer really doesn't really even do them. I do them occasionally, but I've come to realize that I have to make peace with the fact that if I'm on a map that I can't carry, that there is every chance that TFO and that map is going to fail. That's just how it is. In every other MMO I've ever played, the possibility of not being able to complete something due to other people's performance is a factor, as much as you may not want it to be. Some MMOs have things like gear score or item level to try and keep people out, and I've seen people suggest that. I've seen people suggest like scoring systems or a ranking system in a TFO to try and alleviate the issue, but it's never going to be alleviated because the problems with those are a fewfold. One, if you increase or if you implement some kind of ranking system, you're going to have a smaller amount of people who can complete something, depending on what your criteria is for getting past. Like it has to be DPS, some version of DPS, and the amount of people that can pass that are going to be less than the amount of people who can't. And the people that can't do it are going to get pissed, and there's going to be a lot of them. And Deca does not want to piss off the player base by saying you can't do something because you're not good enough. That's never going to happen. And if the people that do pass it, they're also going to get pissed because their wait times for queues are going to skyrocket. Like, I tried to queue for an ISE the other day, and it took like 20 minutes. And I'm like, okay, this is long. I don't want to double that because less people are queuing because they're the only ones that are qualified to do it. And as far as like rewards, that's a neat thing in theory, but it doesn't solve the underlying issue of people not being able to do objectives, and the TFOs will still fail anyway.
Now, one thing I will note here is that for some reason, there are a couple of queues that even a level 2 character can queue up for at elite difficulty. For instance, I'm on a level 2 character right now, and I can queue up for Elite, Wolf 359, Royal Flush, and Storm Chasers. So, like, that shouldn't be allowed, in my opinion.
No. And it's weird because, thankfully it's those, because those rarely come up for me.
Yeah. Now, for me, like you said, Chiaps, I don't really do random elites. I don't even do that many pug queues. I generally prefer to just solo things. If I'm not playing with a team in Discord, I just prefer the challenge. But for me, I've said this for a long time. Like, if you go into a public queue, especially if you're a DPS player, you need to go in with the mindset of having the DPS in there to carry it. Like, you need to accept that that's a possibility that's going to happen when you enter the public TFO system. And if that frustrates you, then, either find a team to play with in, like, the DPS channels, or just solo things. But don't lash out at people using the public queue system. There's no requirements there, no gear check. It's completely random what you're going to get. Yes, it can be frustrating, but don't take it out on them. You have different options for how to approach the content, and it's your choice if that's the path you go on.
There are different mindsets, too. Some people may be queuing thinking they're doing a wonderful job, but they don't parse. They've only been getting paired up with people who are carrying the map. They just have no idea that they're not the ones actually, contributing much of anything to it. It's not entirely their fault because they're given the option to queue. You would think that because it says elite, that they may give somebody an indication that maybe they're not ready for this but again, since they're not probably parsing, since the vast majority of people who play this game don't, they're not really understanding that. They might not even understand why they failed a particular TFO. Some might be looking for actual carries, but I think the people that go in there specifically with that mindset are really, really, really tiny. I think the overwhelming majority of people just click the button to try and see if they can get the reward and have no idea if they're doing good or bad.
Yeah, and this is the thing that is mind-boggling to me about the mindset of the like leechers are a problem person. All right, so let's say we set a DPS gate, like some sort of testing map or something to get you into elites. There is currently no in-game parser that reads out that value, so no player like in this game has any concept of what DPS is in practice who hasn't installed an external parser, which is almost all of them. There is nothing in the game that actually teaches you how to optimize for that stat, and so you're now asking, like you would have to, for it to be anywhere near fair, you're asking Deca to develop an entirely new player experience and tutorial system so that the knowledge base is there for someone to build to getting into elites, and then asking them to build an internal parser, like beyond, and then on top of that a whole new system for gatekeeping elite. You are asking for so much.
And the gatekeeping stuff, like, Stowe's not the biggest game out there, especially when you're looking over at the console side. A lot of these queues already have a very long wait time, and if you start adding in these other requirements, the wait time's going to get to a point where it'll just kill that system.
You must have. Were you doing your taxes when I said that exact same thing?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you don't pay attention. I knew you didn't listen to me.
I'm just agreeing with you, Chiaps. Look, I was looking at this discount on orange chicken at Costco, okay?
Yeah, no, this kind of mindset where you get mad at other people, it seems like a lot of just emotional energy spent on something that isn't a problem. Like, okay, so the TFO failed. Let me just do another one.
And don't be the guy that's in the TFO that's like just talking the most amount of shit to everybody else in it because it's not going as fast as you want it either. Like, don't be the guy that like throws out unsolicited help. If the people that are in there want help, they'll come and get it. They'll come ask. But I know from personal experience, if I'm playing and somebody just comes out of nowhere and is like, you should do this, the first thing that comes across my mind is get fucked.
And like with a gatekeeping system, with a DPS check, with something like, you would have to do that per tune.
Yeah.
Without the purpose of the system being moot, because then you could bring an undeveloped tune in and still, air quotes, leech. So you'd have to do that check per tune. But let's say you have a tune that is entirely a support build and you want to form a 2-person team in random queue. Oh, I can't. I have never hit 150,000 DPS on my support tune.
Yeah, it's too much work for too little return, when really the ultimate thing is you just kind of have to just accept that you can fail. And I think a lot of people, when they play the game, because Stowe is can be rather easy, especially if they're on their own, when you get into some maps that require other people to pull their weight and say they don't, people start getting really, really pissy. It's like, okay, so you failed, so what? Do it again.
Mm-hmm.
And you spent 10 minutes trying to work towards a goal and you didn't get it. That happens. It's part of a game being a game. There's win-lose situations. If it's always winning, it's not even a game.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. And like, I get it. You put a ton of effort into your build and your practice and your time's being spent a certain way, and you don't get. You put in everything and you did everything right, but there was still a failure. But that's just gaming. That's just online gaming.
Yeah, you have to be prepared to lose. Like, if I go into Warships or Battlefield, I don't expect to win every single match. Like, losses happen. It's just a part of what this sort of game is.
And this is from a World of Warships submarine player.
Terrible.
And yeah, and like we've all seen players who have builds that are capable of 7-figure DPS never break 150k. Like we've seen that. So it's you can meet all these requirements and still not be good enough to complete an elite run. Like there are plenty of players who have builds that are capable of good output, but like fail the queue because they don't read the objectives lists. Like they'll get past the block, they'll still cause fails, and there are a lot of those people.
Brotherhood of the Sword. Like, don't press this button. Oh, what happens if I press this button? Oh, it's failed.
Undine Elite.
Oh yeah.
Or Undine Infiltration or whatever, the ground one. Yeah, as soon as someone does the wrong dialogue, it's over. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's just a matter of like, man, spend your anger elsewhere, bruh.
I will say though that to the guy that when we would zone into ISE would immediately start typing in team chat, no Hellbore, please, and just go on and on about Hellbore. He'd write this like little thing about Hellbore. I'm like, so the first thing I'd type back is, all right, putting on Hellbore. It's like, sorry, man, you've now engaged my antithesis mode.
Yeah, but really to summarize this point for me is, it makes the entire like DPS scene look bad whenever you've got anyone doing a higher DPS number that is going out and publicly making a scene on this sort of topic. It makes DPSers look like dicks, and yeah.
By and large, we're not. Well, not to other people in Stowe.
Yeah, there's a lot of very nice people in the DPS scene that are very happy to help out. Like any group, there's going to be some people that are just dicks. That's just the nature of any community.
And I will say, on the other side, there are people who are militantly opposed to doing DPS who are also gigantic dicks.
Oh, yeah.
Which is just an amazing situation and a thing to behold.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting in Stowe how that... I think I saw this on the Stowe subreddit. Militant
casual?
Yeah. Or something like that. Just the toxicity you get from some of the anti-DPS crowd is insane. And it's...
The moment the word meta or uncon is brought up, the rage begins.
I would say the people doing that are as bad as, the people on the DPS side bitching about leechers. Like, that's just not good for either side.
No.
Nope. We just want to get along.
Yep. I'm generally pretty chill unless you're one of those people. Like, it ruins it for everyone.
Yeah.
And if you're ever in a TFO and somebody's giving you shit about your DPS, just know that those people probably are bad at DPS.
Mm-hmm.
I've also found that a recent, well, it's not really recent, but a commonality are people like having bad experiences with who they think are DPSers because they're being chided for their low DPS. The people that are chiding you are doing shit DPS and probably suck. So take that to heart and know that, you do you. When you're ready to try and get better, or if you want to get better, then just come to the Builds Discord, go to the official Discord, into the Builds section, and just ask questions, and people will be more than happy to help you out. They're not going to do it in-game unsolicited and start calling you shitters because you're not doing what they perceive to be enough DPS.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are coming up on the end. This has been really refreshing to be back at.
It sounds so weird when you say it like that. It sounds so final.
Yes. We're all getting raptured tomorrow, don't you know?
Oh no.
I was going to say, oh Christ, but I don't want to. I still want to. I want to get on board. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if I want to go to heaven though, because it sounds like all the fun is like downstairs.
I mean, that's what the drugs are.
Terrible.
Well, yeah. Well, no, the drugs are heaven on earth. All my friends are down there though. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyone have anything before we sign off?
No,
it's been fun. It's been nice chatting again.
Yeah, it's a fun chat. We got the Echelon chilling in. The Echelon's legitimately pretty good, so pick one up while it's cheap.
Yup.
At Spencer's designated price point.
Uh-huh. So hopefully I will be able to remain on tempo and get these out monthly again. So I have been, after several months, Mara.
I've been Casual Sab.
I've mostly been Cheops.
See you next time.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.